Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons, and we are back in the Austin Adventure Park with our Planet Coaster series. And we've got a exciting episode today as we are putting in the newest coaster to the park. This will be I consider it to be the second coaster. Uh, I think there are some places or records that call that little looper thing a coaster. I don't. I'm not one of those. So this one will be our second. Now, I'm going with a winged coaster. One, I really like the winged coaster, how it looks, how it rides, and I say that never having actually ridden one. I say it just having seen videos of how they ride. They look like they're fairly smooth, even with all the rollovers coming off the edge. It's got to be some nice little forces that get put on you for that. So, I decided to go with a winged coaster here, and we're coming off into this new section, and I'm not sure on what kind of theming this new section is going to have, right? So here you do see me kind of fiddling around with putting in one of the standard kind of drops that these wing coaster has, but that becomes a big struggle for me, and I think we do end up eventually scrapping that one out. So, but either way, back to the theming on it. This section, we're not going to see full-blown the theming of this section. It is obviously going to be more modern. You can't really have a wing coaster and have it be back in the old-timey style, you know what I mean? So that's what we're going with on this one. And I think it turns out pretty well in the end, so I'm excited to see how y'all feel about this one and, maybe what changes we can do to it if we need to and all that. I do try to do it pretty much all custom for the most part. Some of the loops and the inversions, I go with the in-game pieces. One, I think for my own skill set, they just do better than what I could pull off. That's just kind of how it is. So, that's something that I'm not going to stress out about too much in that realm. So I'm still working on this front drop, and I have seen some wing coasters that have a pretty much more standard drop instead of that rollover. So I end up deciding after fiddling around with that whole rollover stuff, let's go with a standard drop. And how do I want to map it out? I do put in your basic loop, and it's going to be kind of an out and back essentially, right? It's not going to be anything where it's too drastic. It's a wing coaster, so it's obviously not going to be very compact, we are going to have a lot of stuff spread out for it. It's going to have multiple inversions. Here you see the second and the third one going in as far as the 0G rolls. That in-game piece, I really like how that one works out a lot of the time. And we put it into a mid-course brake run. Now, coming off the mid-course brake run, B&Ms, and I say this more for their floorless coasters more than anything, or their standard coasters you see have the corkscrew, then it has a turnaround and generally a corkscrew back through it. So this one I wasn't too sure how I was going to pull it off. I knew I wanted to have at least one corkscrew in there. I do slide in a second one before we hit a little turnaround point and kind of just start to work on bringing it back to the coaster. I made sure the heights that we have do kind of work out to keep the speed going pretty smooth. That was a big deal for me on that. And so we did get it connected up in the end. I added one last little barrel roll as just an excitement. I want to say barrel roll. I try to make it more of a heartline type roll, but doing that custom, I'm just, like I said, that's pretty difficult for me. I do try it and all that, but still pretty difficult overall. Here we're going to be doing just some of the smoothing aspects to it, and then we'll start working on the station and all that. Now you will see, I do already have this one named. You will see the name of it as we create the custom sign for it. But you'll also see some of the park coming up around it. A lot of what we do for this ride happens in the middle section, and you can kind of tell where it's kind of open right by the station to the coming off the mid-course brake run. Coming off of there, we got it pretty good going all the way through, and so yeah, right now you're looking at the fast-paced views of it. Like I said, this video that's been sped up, God, I think by about 8 times what it was. So definitely looks like it's going a lot faster. Y'all will get a POV of it at the end. But for now, I'm going to let y'all kind of enjoy some of the music as you see how we kind of finish smoothing this thing out and what we kind of do with this area surrounding this ride. Like I said, it is going to be more of a modern area. And I think it turns out pretty well. But let me know in the comments what y'all think. And I'll be back with y'all here in just one little bit as we get closer to the end of this one. So see y'all here in a minute. Hey everybody, I am back here and we are finishing up the station of this ride here. You'll see how we kind of have things mapped out behind it to have a lot of track interaction for the people. Now this station, like I said, I wanted it to be more of a modern one, except not like too futuristic, right? Modern as in you can see it being there today. So filling in some of those gaps for the roof was kind of a little bit difficult, but I think we made it work out pretty decently enough. I did kind of take that design for it from. There's some other videos I saw where it wasn't a wing coaster, it was a vertical drop coaster. I forgot who did it. If I can think of it, I'll put it down in the comments by the time I get this thing posted. But that once I saw that kind of station going, I thought it looked really well for it, and so I kind of basically ripped off that idea. I'll say. Made it a little different, obviously, but still that's where kind of the inspiration for that came from. So now here we are creating the custom sign. All right, so like I said, I know there's letters and all that stuff and the Theme Maker's Toolkit, and I actually do have those. I kind of broke down and got some of those fonts. I haven't used them yet, right? I'm still trying to figure a way to make it work with all custom pieces that I've done that I have in there without adding those things in, from the Theme Maker's Toolkit. Plus, I know there's sometimes can be issues with it being downloaded after that, and once we get the part completed, I am going to put it out there in the Steam Workshop, and so I just don't want there to be possible issues with that as well. So that's kind of the things we're facing here as we do make these signs, and so they may be a little bit larger than normal, a little overbearing, but I do like how these kind of turned out, and I like that. I actually like making my own signs on them. It's completely difficult. It's pretty hard to kind of pull off at times. So, and a lot of it involves doing a whole bunch of reworking of stuff and all of that. So this one is going to be called the Test Pilot. Obviously, it's a wing coaster. It's the idea is to give you the feeling of flying. I wasn't going to go with something birdy like it, I've done before, hundreds of people have done before. Not to say this hasn't been done. This type of naming for a ride like this hasn't been done. I can almost guarantee you it has. But still, I think I like how it works out. It is more of a modern look without being too futuristic. And so we fill it in some, making the border for this sign. And I need to make sure to put in a good background. Now, for this whole section, you won't see this whole section until after the next video. I've already got that recorded. It is going to be kind of another ride and all that, but you'll see what the whole entire section looks like after that. This is still doing work on the sign, basically making up some multiple color changes to kind of give it some depth. I think it turns out pretty well looking like that, providing that depth to it. And so we're just going to be finishing up some of these minor details here as we get into actually where to place the sign, right? And then, that's one of the harder parts that, I have to sit there and think about. It's not so much always where the entrance is, it's where it's going to draw people in. So where are people going to go in to get on, where they're going to see the sign to be able to know to get on the ride, right? And so coming on around that corner, as you come down that walkway following from that completed area and you come over this way, one of the first things you're going to see is this big old sign at the station point. And with its name, I'd like to think that people who enjoy thrill rides from roller coasters will be like, oh shoot, time to get on that one. This is going to be a little bit fun type of setup. So just finishing up some of the minor detail work here. I know I got some things sticking out a little bit. I do get that fixed, and we are going to kind of finish working on some of this background portion. Now, like I said, we are going to be doing some POV rides or POV shots of everything at the end. Like I said, you won't see the whole completed area. You'll kind of see what we do with it. We do fence it off from the public. We do kind of dress it up to make it look good. And I love the coaster interaction that we have going on. So do a lot of good things with this ride and some of the environment around it. So we'll see that in a couple episodes. Here is just kind of finishing off some of the mapping of this ride and the exit area, I guess you could say. And so just doing some final, man, and I hate that. Normally the pathway takes out those little legs, but it didn't seem to work all that well this time. So be it, they are there, we'll deal with them. We'll find a way to cover it up. And I hate working these stupid paths, but you can kind of see why as I have to fiddle around with this thing over here. And I start to make sure that these plazas that we have got a lot of space to them, and it's not just pure path work. While most parks you would see primarily concrete and everything, I don't want it to be just like that. I want us to have some space for plant life and all of that to be put in. So that's kind of what I work with. And I'm planning out obviously doing some buildings and stuff, but we'll see that into the future episodes, definitely. Now that does remind me, if you have not hit subscribe yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join us for all Champ and Sons content, whether it be any of our sports gaming, simulation gaming with Planet Coaster. We will be getting back into Planet Zoo as well in the future. So keep that in mind, hit that subscribe button, and get ready for some of the POV shots happening here in about 5 seconds. So everybody stay safe, and as you all know how it goes by now, right? Later, y'all.